We're in a pretty interesting place with the election at the moment. It's been about a month since Election Day now. Many of the lawsuits that Donald Trump has launched and his allies have launched in the wake of the election have already been thrown out of court. They haven't really gone anywhere. I think his current record, as we're recording this, is one win on a technical matter and then roughly 40 losses, something in that sort of range. So his lawsuits haven't gone very far, and there aren't that many that are still active. That's the fundamental problem for the president. So while he continues to insist that he has won the election and he continues to say that he's going to launch some lawsuits that will change the result, there's no sign of that actually happening. So what we now have is a situation where many of the swing states that he's trying to contest have already certified their results. There are no active lawsuits from the Trump campaign in court that could overturn those results. And we just have the president and his attorneys, Rudy Giuliani and Jenna Ellis, saying a lot of stuff in public, alleging things that they are not saying in court. At the same time, we have the president's own attorney general, William Barr, who this week pretty much came out and said his department, the Justice Department, had found nothing to suggest that there was any fraud on the scale that Donald Trump is talking about, that there was any fraud that could have flipped the result of the election. So you have people within Mr. Trump's own administration calling out his rhetoric and saying that it's not accurate. It's an interesting sort of development in the last week where Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani and the other people in Donald Trump's orbit have been taking aim at people on their own side of politics, Republicans. Bill Barr is one of them. He's someone who, before the election, was very much supportive of Donald Trump's suspicions towards mail-in ballots. He hyped that up. He said that there was a higher risk of fraud. After the election, he directed US attorneys who serve under him in the Justice Department to investigate any credible claims. And he's come out this week and said that those investigations did not yield any results that would suggest that the election was decided by widespread fraud. There is no evidence that it happened. Barr is not someone who is a never Trump Republican, right? He's not someone who is sympathetic to the Democrats. He's someone who's been very loyal to Donald Trump since he was appointed as Attorney General. To have someone like that shooting down his claims is pretty damaging for the credibility of those claims. The other Republicans who are in the president's crosshairs right now tend to be state officials. We're talking about the governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp. We're talking about the governor of Arizona. These are states Donald Trump insists there was widespread fraud in. And yet Republican officials from his own party have verified the results and said that there was no fraud. It's not plausible for the president to claim that Brian Kemp, a longtime supporter of Donald Trump, someone who voted for Donald Trump in the election, someone who is a lifelong Republican, and the officials under Kemp, who are also lifelong Republicans, were in on this very wide-ranging conspiracy to rig the election in favor of Joe Biden. You know, it's one thing to say the Democrats tried to rig the election. To try and bring your own supporters in as well and suggest that they were working against you, that just makes it all the less plausible. Okay, so we had a poll late this week, US time, which did look at the Senate races in Georgia and found that both Democratic candidates are ahead. Now, I would suggest that we approach the polls here with a lot of caution, not only because, you know, they've missed the mark a fair few times in recent times, but also because, I mean, Georgia is a Republican state. Joe Biden won it in the presidential election, but the Democratic candidates running for the Senate, in this case, they didn't manage to get above 50%. There's no particular reason to believe that the Democrats will win these two races. And if they don't win both of these races, the Republicans retain control of the Senate. As things stand, it looks as though the Republicans have won 50 Senate seats and the Democrats have won 48. If the Democrats were to win both of these special elections in Georgia, then they would have a 50-50 Senate. 50 Republican senators, 50 Democratic senators. And in that case, Vice President Kamala Harris would have the tie-breaking vote. That's why this matters so much. The Democrats need to win both of these special elections in a state that has traditionally leaned Republican. Joe Biden is the first Democratic presidential candidate to win Georgia since the 90s.